What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news right here on our YouTube page, A-Plus Hero Report. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again for a lovely Sunday, wherever you certainly are at. What's the weather looking like outside as I peek outside the window? It's actually not too bad out here. I know the weather's dropping a little bit all over the country, so wherever you're at, I certainly hope you're certainly staying warm and enjoying yourself as we make this transition from into fall, or as of fall, I should say. But guys, I hope everybody's enjoying your weekend so far. It's been a busy week, I feel like, here at just A-Plus in general. We had a great show for our Power Rangers side of things as of yesterday, and now we get to talk some of our Marvel and DC stuff also. We actually have a ton of television and movie news for you guys today that I'm really eager to go ahead and dive into. I feel like on the superhero side of things, news just wasn't as crazy, as fire as I think that we're certainly used to. But don't worry, we certainly have some honorable mentions to certainly explore for you guys. Some great content to certainly get into from Zack Snyder's Justice League doing some reshoots. We've got Kanye West even bringing up a debate topic about Star Wars prequels and sequels trilogies. We got some Tim Burton news, some Simon Kinberg news in regards to Battlestar Galactica. A ton of stuff here for you guys today. But it's not just me. It's not just me. Trust me, I do have a cohort that's certainly helping me out today. What's going on, Stuart? Good to see you, buddy. How you been, man?
I've been good. Good to be here on the show. Just watched one of the craziest horror movies or I don't even know if I'd say it's a horror movie. It's like really more of an action film, but called Meatball Machine. It's like a weird Mortal Kombat, Power Rangers, Japanese horror film.
That's just a weird amalgamation of just different franchises and things, man.
Yeah, because you got like tokusatsu type fight scenes, but with these weird people that have been like infected by a weird parasite, and leads to like some over the top, like really fun type of over the top fights. I definitely recommend it. It's a weird film.
What's it called again? Meatball what?
Meatball Machine. You can watch it for free on Tubi. Okay.
Well, hey guys, check out Meatball Machine. That'd be pretty interesting to see what that turns out to be. If I'm not sure if there's anybody in our live chat, let me go ahead and check. Hey, we do got Indy in here. What's up? Good to see you, Indy. Appreciate you certainly stopping by. I know you've had a rough week, man. So definitely our prayers and everything go out to you and everybody that you certainly know, man. I hope everything goes well, Indy. And Indy, of course, does a fantastic job in regards to our Swamp Thing reviews that he winds up dropping each and every week. So certainly go ahead and stay tuned throughout the week for Indy's reviews for Swamp Thing. And then hopefully once his work schedule and everything settles down, we'll definitely have Indy back here at A-Plus Hero Report as soon as possible, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, guys, let's start getting into some of our topics. Before we actually get into the topics, though, quick honorable mention, some things that didn't just quite make the cut for the show, but we wanted to go ahead and bring up briefly for you guys. The Suicide Squad is around the corner, set to go ahead and debut sometime next year, but that doesn't mean that we can't start getting ourselves hyped for it. Empire Magazine actually just went ahead and released a cover of their upcoming issue, I believe, for either this month. I believe this week it winds up dropping. But this is actually the Empire Magazine cover here. There's actually two covers. This is the first one. The second one is more or less like an exclusive for the subscribers to Empire Magazine. But if you were to go out and actually find this magazine on your own, this would be the cover that you find as you get the opportunity to see James Gunn sitting there with Harley Quinn and the rest of the Suicide Squad. And one of our another official shots here of King Shark, I might add. I feel like we haven't seen too much of him, at least from the outside of the DC fandom experience that we wind up having. But this is, in fact, the Suicide Squad team, brought to you by James Gunn. What do you think about it, Stuart? How are you liking it so far?
The more I look at King Shark, the more I'm like positive about my theory that he's going to be voiced by Taika Waititi.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Do you think he's going to have attributes from the Harley Quinn series?
Possibly.
I mean, because he looks like he's a big old threatening shark with a big old grin on his face over there in the back.
Yeah, it'll be probably like kind of a mixture of like the Harley Quinn King Shark, but also kind of like what they're doing in the new Suicide Squad video game, where they kind of imply he's like a huge fan of superheroes.
I would love that, especially if it's got somebody like Taika
Yeah.
helming his doing his voice. So that should be fantastic. So not only did we have that drop this week, but there's another film that's actually in production right now. Actually, might be in post production. I believe it's already wrapped, or it's set to wrap here rather soon. Tom Holland's working on another movie, Stuart, in Uncharted. We finally got an official look this week of Tom Holland himself, looking like we just ripped a young Nathan Drake out of the video games here. What do you think about seeing Tom Holland as Nathan Drake?
Yeah, so like before seeing this photo, I kept thinking with Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, it's like, yeah, I'm sure he'll do a fine job. I'm just not really sure if I'll ever really see him as Nathan Drake. Seeing this photo, though, I've been proven wrong. Like, he is spot on and just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely in the same camp with you, Stuart. Like, even though I really enjoy Tom Holland and I think he's a really solid actor, like the movie he was in, The Impossible, I believe, with Ewan McGregor, when he was a younger kid, stellar actor even then. I feel like any role that you put him in, regardless of how the movie may turn out, Tom Holland is like the least of your worries. I think he's going to deliver a fantastic performance. And sometimes I feel like I might forget that, because even though they announced Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, my first thing was, I like Tom Holland, I just don't know if I see it, you know what I mean? But yeah, but you're absolutely right. Now that I actually see him in the costume, and I mean, granted, it's just a photo, but just photo wise, I can visually tell that, yeah, this guy is definitely going to be a great Nathan Drake, because if he looks the part, and I definitely know he's going to do great when it comes to the performance side of things. So we'll see how Tom Holland does as Uncharted. A lot of pressure for Uncharted. Will it be one of the most successful video game movies out there? We'll definitely have to see. But listen, it's not the only Drake going around, guys. That's not the only Drake going around, guys. That's right. The internet is super quick. This was literally the same day or later on that day. Instead of Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, just put the good old traditional Drake in that place. Why don't you? So I thought that was a really great sort of deep fake that they wind up putting there with Drake's face on Tom Holland here as the real Nathan Drake. But Stuart, you had another honorable mention that you wanted to talk about, right?
Yes, but first I gotta say, you know who would be perfect to play Sully in the Uncharted film?
Who?
I don't know if it's Steven or Stefan, but Stefan Lang. He was the from Avatar.
Yeah. I want him to be Cable so badly. I really want. He was my first runner up, but I definitely am not complaining about Josh Brolin. But yeah, that's cool. I didn't even think about that as a Sully, but I can definitely see that. Well, considering the fact that we are also going more younger generation here, I can definitely see why they picked Mark Wahlberg to certainly play that role. I think he'll do a great job in that, though.
No, they picked Mark Wahlberg. That's actually really funny.
Yeah, I think I saw photos and set videos of him and Tom Holland together on set and things like that. And from what I've read, I believe that's who Mark Wahlberg's playing as a younger Sully.
All right.
That was a nice little combination. But what was your honorable mention, though?
Oh, my honorable mention definitely goes to Animaniacs, because they've now released a second trailer. For their coming like reboot, which I'm super excited about.
You know, it's one of those things where I grew up and I loved Animaniacs growing up as a kid, and I feel like in today's day and age, we're definitely going back to a lot of these older shows and trying to revive them, right? Like Beavis and Butthead. I hear Ren and Stimpy is trying to make a comeback also. So the fact that a show like Animaniacs is returning, honestly, just makes me so happy. I mean, just looking at the trailer, the past two trailers that I've seen, it's almost like they haven't skipped a beat. It's almost like their comedy and everything just gets so much better each time I watch it. I mean, it still makes me laugh. It's still cheesy and corny, but they just got great timing and great content to honestly just make fun of. And I can't wait to see what they do in 2020 with all the stuff that we've had going on since we've last seen the Animaniacs. I'm sure there's plenty of content for them to make fun of.
Oh yeah. One thing my friend was worried about, but I don't think will be an issue, is he was saying like, "Oh man, they're gonna make the show way too PC now." But I don't think that'll be a
I don't think
problem because, I'm sure knowing the type of writing that they've had in the past, knowing that they have like the same writers now, they'll probably still like have those like it'll be like a lot of those innuendos where it's like they make it past the censors because the censors don't even notice them. Which is what they did a lot of back in the day.
Yeah, nobody's just even picked up on some of the subtleties of what they were talking about. Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. But yes, Animaniacs is going to be on Hulu, so definitely go ahead and look out for everything that I've seen so far. It looks like it's going to be another smash hit, ladies and gentlemen. But now that we've gotten those honorable mentions out of the way, let's go ahead and dive deep into the live actual topics this week. And of course, guys, listen, if you've got any comments or anything in particular that you certainly want to go ahead and discuss this week, certainly go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below, and we'll certainly go ahead and get to you guys later on. All right, Stuart, let's go ahead and jump into this. So our first topic, ladies and gentlemen, that we definitely want to go ahead and talk about is in regards to the Justice League reshoots. Zack Snyder's Justice League movie is in full swing. Reshoots have in fact begun. And we've got a couple people that have been coming in and out of sets, not only for reshoots, but from what we've been hearing, some additional photography as well. And we actually have two people that's actually planning on coming back. And one of them for sure, Stuart, I definitely was not expecting to see again, or at least not expecting to see in this particular movie. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Jared Leto is in fact set to play the Joker in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's right, guys. Jared Leto, who for the most part, I felt like from things that I have read, was a little bit upset at the idea that nobody's decided to go ahead and bring him back as the Joker, was a little bit questioning things when Joaquin Phoenix wind up actually getting the role as the Joker in his own individual film as well. And so a lot of people just automatically assume that after the not well received version of Joker, that Jared Leto would just pretty much step aside and we would just never see him again. But it looks like he's coming back, ladies and gentlemen, for the Zack Snyder's Justice League. It says, looks like Leto is getting the last laugh as he joins the shooting of additional scenes for Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's new Justice League is getting some killer laughs. Leto, who played the classic DC villain in the Joker in 2016 Suicide Squad, has joined in the shooting of additional footage for the Snyder Cut, the filmmaker's definitive version of the 2017 superhero movie he was forced to exit and never saw through completion. It says the project, officially titled Zack Snyder's Justice League, is being overseen by HBO Max. Shooting is currently underway with Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, and Amber Heard among those currently involved, on top of Leto. It is unclear which other actors are included. Even as the shoot rolls ahead, two producers who were involved in the movie have quietly moved to the side, John Berg and Jeff Johns as well. So yeah, it says Leto boarding, though, the Snyder Cut is noteworthy as the character did not appear in the original 2017 movie. It also raises questions about how much new content will be included in Zack Snyder's super version of Justice League. So, Stuart, not only do we have Jared Leto that's going to be making an appearance in here as well, a very surprising one, I might add. But one of the things that we said at the top also, Deathstroke, Joe Manganiello is back also. A very familiar face, ladies and gentlemen. We saw him last at the end credit scene of the Justice League film, but apparently maybe there's even more for them to certainly look forward to. It says Manganiello is a different story, though. However, Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson, appeared in the post-credit scenes in 2017's Justice League that saw him recruited by Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Back in May, when the so-called Snyder Cut was officially announced, Manganiello promised his fans on Instagram that it would include the original post-credit scene. While one could interpret this as there was footage left on the cutting room floor, our sources explicitly said that Manganiello will be returning to the set for additional shooting. So it did say a representative for HBO Max did not confirm the return, though our source sent us a photo of the actor on Twitch this week, and he appeared to be sporting a white blonde haircut, which is just so happens to be Deathstroke's signature look as well. So, Stuart, Deathstroke and the Joker are officially joining Justice League. This movie continues to get bigger and bigger, I swear, each and every time that we talk about it, man. What do you think about the two additions in here? And is there any one that interests you certainly more than the other? What are your thoughts in regards to this, Stuart?
Definitely a lot more excited for the Deathstroke than I am for Joker personally. But I mean, that's just because I've kind of been open about this. I just wasn't a fan of Jared Leto's Joker in the Suicide Squad. But I don't know. I guess you could look at this as a chance for, you know, like kind of a second chance for him. So maybe I'll like him more in this movie, because there was like kind of the whole thing of like him feeling like he got screwed over with Suicide Squad because a lot of his scenes were taken out. So maybe if we get more of him, it might help. But yeah, as of now, I'm not like super excited about seeing him return. But as for Deathstroke, I don't know. He's always pulled the look off really well. But because we've never really, if I remember correctly, we didn't even really get that many speaking lines from him in the Justice League movie. Right. I'd be curious to see if they add any lines for him in this, because even though he has the look down perfectly, I still don't know like how he is as an actual like Slade Wilson.
Yeah, we haven't really had the opportunity to see him in that role as of yet. So it would be interesting to see what he's going to bring to Slade Wilson. I mean, we've already got some amazing actors in Manu Bennett. Oh God, who was the guy that just played him in Titans?
I forgot his name, but yeah, like that's what's really
great
funny
performances.
with Deathstroke, is that I don't think we've gotten a bad actor playing him in the past. Like even when you look at the Teen Titans animated series, like Ron Perlman was perfect as Deathstroke back in the day.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to see. Let me see. I put in Deathstroke's. Issei Morales. That's what it was. I was like, I know the last name is Morales. I could not remember his first name, but yeah, Issei Morales. So yeah, Joe Manganiello certainly has a lot to live up to in regards to big shoes to fill, if you will, in regards to Deathstroke. But the fact that they're bringing him in, like that end credit scene was probably one of my favorite parts of the entire Justice League movie when I went and saw it. So the fact that I know that not only is that scene going to be in there, but that we might actually get more of him, certainly go ahead and count me in, man, because I remember some of the clips and maybe some of the photos that we got of Deathstroke even before the Justice League movie wind up popping up. I think some of us were when those photos in that video was first released, we thought maybe it was going to be Deathstroke in sort of like the Batman movie or something like that. So I know for a fact that there definitely is more footage out there, because it wasn't filmed for the Batman. It actually was meant to be for Justice League. So I'm kind of curious to see if he'll actually have more speaking parts. If how much more footage is certainly going to be in there, I don't know. But if he's coming back, a part of me is hoping, like, can I please get this Ben Affleck solo Batman movie now with Joe as Deathstroke? I really wanted to see that, because from all the sources that I had been hearing was that Ben Affleck's Batman movie was supposed to have Deathstroke like as the villain. I think that's one of the reasons why they teased him at the end of Justice League. But it'll be interesting to see what they have in store. But yeah, I think for the both of us, for me, my main excitement is definitely Deathstroke's return. Jared Leto, on the other hand, look, I'm eager that this guy's at least getting his opportunity to reprise his role again. You know, I definitely do feel as though he was certainly undercut in the Suicide Squad. I know a lot of people weren't really big fans of that Joker, and I definitely understand. My thing is, I honestly felt that if he did get more screen time, then people might be able to either better relate or better understand the character and maybe have a different appreciation for it. And who knows, maybe more screen time just would help clarify people that, yeah, you know, I'm really not just the biggest fan of this Joker at all, but I'm at least glad that he's going to be getting more screen time and being able a chance to sort of be represented in this DCEU, because I honestly wasn't expecting him to be back whatsoever. And considering the fact that we did not see him in the 2017 movie does make me wonder like what his presence does for this film. I'm honestly not expecting it to be a big part, though. What do you think, Stuart? Do you think Jared Leto's going to have a significant part, or you think it's going to be a quick comb over sort of cameo or scene?
I think maybe 1 or 2 scenes at the most, maybe an end credit scene, and maybe a scene before that where it's like very first part of the Snyder cut where Batman's just arresting him or something like that. I definitely don't think it's going to be a big one. I think it's going to be there to like say, hey, he still exists in this universe, and it's possible we get more of him in the future.
Yeah, you might be right. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I mean, if anything, I feel like the DCEU, at least back in the day, was really great about maybe connecting one movie to the previous movie. And so considering the fact that we did see Bruce Wayne and Amanda Waller in the Suicide Squad, and then we jump into Justice League, it definitely would make for a great sort of connective tissue between those two films also. And there was always a big question mark hanging over what happened to the Joker after Suicide Squad and him and Harley Quinn and things like that. Because last time that we saw, he actually rescued Harley from prison, if I'm not mistaken, in the Suicide Squad at the very end. So maybe this does sort of pick up, maybe this reshoot is a pickup of that particular scene, or maybe you're right, Batman's still managing to catch them after he winds up breaking Harley out. So who knows? Yeah, maybe he might have like 1 or 2 scenes in here, but I'm glad that they're at least doing it, because it feels very much like they're doing it to connect those pieces of those two films together. But I'm just glad for Jared Leto to actually make a return.
If they wanted to, they could also put a timeline on the film and have it be like it takes place right after he breaks up with Harley Quinn. So you could say like it takes place right before the Birds of Prey film.
Oh, very nice. Listen, and that would be perfect, man. That would absolutely be perfect. The fact again that they're not only doing reshoots, that they're doing additional photography, right? It's not so much even the idea of like, hey, we like what we saw last time, but we just want to rework some things. No, this is the idea of like, hey, maybe there are some new ideas, maybe some new shots that we certainly want to go ahead and put into this film. They may not be blockbuster changes, but just to maybe add a little bit more oomph to the film. This continues to tell me that maybe they really want this to be the definitive version of their Justice League movies, certainly going forward. Is that the vibes that you're getting?
I'm still
putting forward, or no, they're just trying to do this.
Getting the vibe that they're gonna wait and see. I still think like the main thing that Warner Brothers is gonna do is they're gonna see like the reception of the Snyder cut. If people like it more, I think that'll later they're gonna work that as okay, this is the official version that's canon now. Whereas like the Joss Whedon is just you can pretend that never happened. But if fans, don't like it, then, if they don't like it, then they'll probably just stick to the Joss Whedon version. But that's my guess. They're just waiting and see.
No, you're probably right. I mean, it certainly would make sense for them to certainly wait to see how everybody's reception is. But for me, the fact that they are at least putting that extra money towards making this work definitely shows. For me at least, it just shows their intentions that they really want to put something really great together for the fans. And if it's received well, who knows what the future certainly holds for Zack Snyder and this universe. But ladies and gentlemen, let us know your thoughts. Now that you know that the Justice League reshoots are in fact underway, we've had Ben Affleck there, Amber Heard there, Gal Gadot, I believe, Ray Fisher, and now Jared Leto, and now Joe Manganiello. Are you excited for Deathstroke and Joker's returns? Maybe not so much. Let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic today. Stuart, this is in regards to a franchise that has been around for quite some time. That a franchise that, if you ask me, after Tokyo Drift was probably on like flatlining, if you will, and really needed like some sort of resuscitation. And they got just that. The fact that this Fast and the Furious franchise is continuing to this day is rather impressive, racking up almost $6 billion worth of a franchise for Universal Pictures. So it's very understandable why Universal has not slowed down in regards to their production for Fast and the Furious. But they plan on it, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are big fans of this property in Fast and the Furious, grab your tissues, because unfortunately it is coming to an end here. Stuart, this actually comes to us from Deadline.com, letting us know that Fast and the Furious Road will end after 2 more films. Justice Lin has been set to direct both of those films for Universal. Now, if you're aware, we currently have Fast and the Furious 9 that's set to go ahead and release next year in 2021. So as of this official statement from Deadline, Fast and the Furious will end after 2 more films. Fast 11, if you will. So this is the exclusive. It says Universal Pictures is planning to wrap up its Fast and the Furious core film franchise with 2 final films that will bring to a close a franchise that has revved its way to become the highest grossing movie series to the studio's history. Justin Lin, who is in post-production on Fast 9, is in talks to direct the final 2 installments and bring the saga that began nearly 20 years ago to a close. It's early days on when this will begin. Production, but it seems likely it would tell a big story over 2 films that will focus on the franchise patriarch Vin Diesel and bring back a very familiar returning cast, to say the least. So yeah, it says Fast 9, which is the 5th film in the franchise, directed by Justin Lin, premieres next Memorial Day, will in fact continue the story. No word yet as to whether or not the Hobbs and Shaw cast, Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham, will be in it as of right now. So guys, Fast 11 will be the final Fast and the Furious movie. And you know what, Stuart? This is going to be a little bit bittersweet for me, man. While I haven't necessarily been the biggest fan of the Fast and the Furious series, I can't sit here and say like every movie has been complete trash. Like for me, there are some really enjoyable movies for Fast and the Furious. And I do think that at some point in time, this series eventually went from not only being just about race cars and racing, but definitely turned into some sort of race car spy espionage thriller, suspense, drama, action film. Like it really embraced itself to just be a little bit of everything, and a little bit over the top at times, for sure, with some of its stunts. But I think that's really what's made this series a little bit more enjoyable. The series itself actually understanding what it is and having a lot of fun with it. And because of that, it's really made for a great sort of popcorn flicks, if you will, for that adrenaline pushing type of thing. And it's really made a career for a ton of people, not only Vin Diesel, but a ton of people that has been attached to these particular projects. And it continues to go strong. I mean, even after 9 films and a spinoff, the series is still making $1 billion at the box office. So people really love just this the chemistry and just the understanding that they have behind this franchise. So I'm sure for some people this is going to be a major bummer. Justin Lin, considering the fact that he's already done 5 of these movies, really understands the world that he's messing around with. But truth be told, Stuart, I haven't watched the Fast and the Furious movies since the passing of Paul Walker. But a lot of the films leading up to that, I was a really big fan of. So this will be a sad farewell, I think, for myself, even though I haven't caught up with it, just to see a franchise that's been that successful leave. It's always heartfelt. But Stuart, what's your relationship with Fast and the Furious? And now that you know that we have at least 2 more movies ahead for us, what are your thoughts in regards to it?
My relationship with the Fast and Furious, it's funny because I think the only one I had seen was Tokyo Drift right up until the 6th Fast and Furious film came out. Okay. And it was funny because my thought was, I thought this was a show, like a franchise about street racing. When did it turn into this? And yeah, so that's when I ended up binging like the entire franchise, like from beginning to end. And that's when I kind of realized, oh, okay, I see. There's like some weird storyline going on where like Tokyo Drift takes place after all this. Okay. But I guess one thing that was like really fascinating to me about the franchise was that, yeah, the way it kind of like started out as just a show, or I keep saying show just because of how many movies there are, how it was a franchise about street racing, and then it just kind of escalated into being suddenly like spy espionage, and now it's with Hobbs and Shaw, it's basically become a superhero franchise as well.
For real, yeah, they managed to have a black Superman in their property now.
Yeah, so it's just like it's just crazy to me the direction that the franchise has gone in, and that's kind of why I like it. I love how much each movie tries to be more over the top than the previous one, and it seems like they keep trying harder and harder to do that every time. But what I like is that even though it gets ridiculous movie after movie, it never feels like they're just being lazy with it. Like it feels like they're just having so much fun, but in the best ways, not in the Michael Bay ways where it's just kind of like, as long as there's action, no one's going to care about the crappy writing. It's like you get the action and the writing, while I wouldn't call it good in the Fast and Furious movies, it's entertaining enough to where, you enjoy all the characters and their chemistry with each other. And then it's like almost feels like the characters themselves are like so self-aware of how ridiculous everything going on around them is that you just can't help but enjoy some of the most ridiculous, unrealistic stunts that you end up seeing because of it. So I love the franchise, and it makes sense that I'm actually surprised they're going with 2 more after this next film, because originally they were saying that the film after the next movie, so it would have been Fast 10, they were saying that was supposed to be the last film. So finding out that there's going to be another one after that is a bit surprising. But I also don't think, even when the main line of movies ends, I don't think they're necessarily done with the franchise yet. Because
you just think maybe the main line of it, though?
Yeah, the main line of it, but I think we're still going to get like 2 more Hobbs and Shaw movies. And then honestly, because everything has to have a television spinoff now, I wouldn't doubt if they try that.
I like that. Listen, the two extra movies certainly would give them plenty of time. Like, hey, if we wanted to create a television series universe out of this, that we certainly could. I mean, damn, they've definitely laid the groundwork for it with 9 movies. I thought it was funny that you were like, they've had so many movies. I felt like this was a series or something. I'm like, yeah, they're on like season 9 right now, man. Like it's crazy to even fathom the idea of a movie franchise not only being that successful, but going to like 11 iterations of it. Like, I mean, this is like Police Academy. How many Police Academy movies we get? Like 7, 8, like something ridiculous. Like, so I don't feel like it's really often that we get franchises that last this long or are able to revitalize themselves to even stick around for 11 movies. I mean, I swore I thought I heard Michelle Rodriguez said that they were even planning on going into space at some point in time. So I'm like, what is going on with this franchise? But I mean, you're right. I did hear the same thing about Fast 10 maybe being the final one, but concerning the fact that Justin Lin, I believe in this comment that we just saw, let me go ahead and try and pull this back up here, because it did say, where did it go? Oh, it says it will begin production, but it seems likely that they will tell a big story over 2 films. So I'm wondering if this is going to be like I don't want to say like a 2-parter or anything like that, but it definitely makes me, dang it, Adam, it definitely makes me wonder if maybe they just broke ground on Fast and the Furious 10 and realized, hey, we actually have a bigger story that we could probably tell out of this, and we'll maybe a lot of that carry over from 10 will go into number 11 to go ahead and wrap it up. Who knows? Maybe we can have ourselves a gigantic Avengers sort of Endgame level thing where we just have everybody from every past Fast and the Furious movie come into numbers 10 and 11 and tell a really great send-off film. I think that would be really perfect. Would you like to see them go into space, Stuart?
Yeah,
at this point,
I feel
right?
like it's got to happen at some point. I mean, I was making that joke back in Fast and Furious 7 because, once you had like Dwayne Johnson ram an ambulance into a helicopter and then rip off a minigun off the helicopter in order to shoot down another helicopter, I'm like, yeah, nothing in this franchise can really surprise me at that point. And then, yeah, so like, yeah, I was making the joke for the longest time. When are they finally going to go into space? And it seems like that joke has gotten around all around now, to the point where even the actors are like making it. So I wouldn't like take what she said literally, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it actually did happen. I think she's just like acknowledging how the fan base knows that the series is ridiculous and they love how ridiculous it is, Yeah. And I think if the main line doesn't do it, I have almost zero doubt that Hobbs and Shaw 2 or 3 will do it.
Yeah, it's like everybody. It's like the race to space now. Who's gonna get there first, Fast and the Furious or Mission Impossible? We'll definitely we'll keep you guys posted. Who makes it to the moon, Vin Diesel or Tom Cruise? The race is on, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my gosh! Actually, come to think of it, the Fast and Furious franchise is like the street racing version of James Bond, essentially, because the earlier James Bond movies, you know, start out as simple spy movies with a couple of really weird over the top villains, but for the most part, you know, everything around James Bond and his oh crap, MI6, right? That's the name of the organization. Yeah, MI6. You know, it doesn't feel that over the top at first, but then you get to like one point where suddenly, you know, it goes from, hey, James, here's your gun. Good luck with your mission to, oh, hey, James, here's this suitcase, but it's not just a suitcase. It also has a sleeping gas when you put in this specific combo. You know, things like that. You know, that's kind of like what it is with the Fast and Furious franchise. Starts out like, you know, it's always been kind of silly even since the first movie, but it's always had like you know, when it started out, it had like a much more grounded feel. Yeah. And then looking at where it's gone now, it's just, I would not. Yeah. So I have almost no doubt they're eventually going into space.
Family.
That's what
in space. Oh God. Real quick shout out before we move on. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts in regards to the Fast and the Furious. Fast and Furious 11 seems like it's going to be the end of the tentpole franchise. Like Stuart said, we may still continue to get more spin-offs here, but it seems like the main line certainly is planning to go ahead and wrap up. What's your relationship like with Fast and the Furious? How do you feel about the franchise? What do you think about it wrapping in number 11? Go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. Stuart, before we move on though, real quick shout out goes out to Anita for certainly joining us today, and of course shout out Nova Productions in the house. Also, going back to that Jared Leto storyline, though, he does say I think they could be counting their setup for Legion of Doom. I haven't heard anything too much in regards to a potential Legion of Doom, but I think that would be pretty neat. Give that to me in like a television series. I would probably be on board for that, though. What do you think? Do you like the idea of something Legion of Doom? I don't think we're gonna get it, but would you be open to the idea?
I would love it. Not necessarily just a Legion of Doom movie, but, you know, a Justice League versus the Legion of Doom type of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. So we'll see, Shadow Nova. We'll see what the future certainly holds. I think I just similar to what Stuart said earlier, I think a lot of that definitely will depend on the success of this HBO Max release. But all right.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, in regards to that though, one thing they could also be setting up with Jared Leto and Deathstroke, it goes to those I forgot the name of the artist that always does those really, really good fake posters and everything. But he had one where it was a Batman miniseries for HBO Max. I think because we have a new Logic? Batman,
Boss Logic?
Boss Logic, that's it. Yeah. I do think that because we have like a new, you know, Batman movie franchise going on, you know, obviously they're not going to have Ben Affleck's Batman in it at the same time. So I think like if they were to bring back Ben Affleck's Batman, I think doing his own miniseries would be the perfect way to do it. And then you could have both Jared Leto's Joker and the Deathstroke from Justice League. So
I like that. Keeping my fingers crossed now more than ever for a Ben Affleck Batman series. I would definitely take that. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next topic today. The next topic for me is as an X-Men fan, as a Simon Kinberg fan, as a sci-fi fan, this definitely piqued my interest, and I wanted to discuss this with you here, Stuart. But a new movie that has certainly been greenlit is based off of one of my favorite sort of sci-fi television series in Battlestar Galactica. We've already heard that they plan on revitalizing the television series, so we are expecting something along that front. But it is becoming aware to us here that it may not just be a TV series that they're certainly planning, that a Battlestar Galactica movie could certainly be on its way, Stuart. This actually article here comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Simon Kinberg is in fact set to write and produce a Battlestar Galactica movie for Universal. The article says that Dylan Clark is also producing the long-gestated feature adaptation of the cult favorite TV series. The Cylons are on the march. Simon Kinberg has signed on to write and produce Battlestar and Galactica, Universal's long gestating feature adaptation. Kinberg, who was the main architect of almost a decade's worth of X-Men movies, now has a new franchise universe to work with and will be starting from the ground up, telling the tale of humans on faraway planets on the run from a race of intelligent machines bent on wiping them out. He'll join producer Dylan Clark, who is also who has long shepherded the project. And let's see, he says Battlestar. What the heck? Freaking ads. I can't hate these ads when they pop up. Battlestar Galactica is one of the holy grails in science fiction, and I couldn't be more excited about bringing something new to the franchise while honoring what's made it so iconic and enduring, is what Simon Kinberg said. I'm so grateful that Dylan and my partners at Universal have trusted me with this incredible universe. So yeah, it looks as though we're going to be getting ourselves a Battlestar Galactica movie coming to us from Simon Kinberg, who will in fact be writing and producing this movie. Let me throw this over to you here, Stuart. I believe we might have talked about the television series being like getting greenlit a while ago. I can't remember whether or not you have had an experience though with watching Battlestar Galactica, whether it be the original series or the most recent one in the early 2000s. What is your relationship, I should say, with Battlestar Galactica, if there is one? And if not, I'm sure you're very familiar with somebody like a Simon Kinberg. What do you think about him maybe taking on this franchise?
Yeah, not gonna lie, I actually am not I've actually never seen any episodes of either Battlestar Galactica series.
Stuart, you gotta get on it, man.
Yeah, I'm sure
You
I'd
would love
enjoy
it.
it
You would enjoy it.
if I gave it a shot. But yeah, no, I think he's really, if I remember correctly, sorry, what did you say he's directed before again?
So he's I don't think he's directing this. He's writing and producing this. I'm pulling up his filmography right now. So yeah, he's been a producer and a writer mostly.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, he's produced the Martian and Logan. So yeah, okay. I think he's gonna be. I think it's a good choice for producer for this. I'm sorry, I really just don't have too much to say about it other than like I'll definitely be interested in checking it out. I might try to use the movie like the movie that he produces as a way to segue myself into Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, other than that, I really don't have too much to say if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah, no man. That's why I wasn't sure whether or not what your experience was like with Battlestar. For me, it's a very cult classic sort of sci-fi. I don't necessarily know if it's a series that certainly hits for everybody. But I remember when they did the reboot of the TV series on Sci-Fi, it blew me away, man. One of my favorite sci-fi televisions. It was just amazing television at the time for sure. So if you haven't checked it out and if you're a big fan of sci-fi, I definitely would recommend it. It's a brilliantly written, to say the least. So I'll go ahead and talk a little bit further then about Simon Kinberg. So just for everybody is aware, when it comes to Simon Kinberg as a producer, I love this guy. I love Simon Kinberg as a producer. Let me just name off a couple things that he's actually produced. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, X-Men: The First Class, Days of Future Past, the Cinderella remake, The Martian, Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, Logan, Murder on the Orient Express, Star Wars Rebels, The Gifted, wasn't that the X-Men television series, I believe? Legion, The Twilight Zone. I mean, the guy has produced a ton of stuff. He's been attached to some great material in his time. So from a producing side of things, Simon Kinberg is up there. He knows how to attach himself and really create some fantastic stuff. Writing, though, if you got to tell me that, listen, Simon Kinberg is going to be writing this, let's go down this list, Stuart. All right, you ready for this?
Yep.
Triple X, State of the Union, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, X-Men: The Last Stand, Jumper he wrote. The Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. He was Days of Future Past, screenplay for the Fantastic Four movie, screenplay for Apocalypse, screenplay for Dark Phoenix. I mean, not necessarily the strongest. I mean, there are some things in there like Days of Future Past, but that's, and maybe Sherlock, but the rest of those I can really do without. Apocalypse, Fantastic Four, Jumper, The Last Stands, Triple X, State of the Union. Yeah, I don't know how confident I necessarily feel in Simon Kinberg as a writer. I mean, he does have some titles under his name that I've seen him, but this doesn't really give me the most confidence in the world. I know he's not directing it. Like if you had told me he was going to be directing this, I probably would be just even a little bit more worried, because the only directing that I know he has under his belt was the Dark Phoenix movie, which wasn't bad in my eyes. But for a tentpole franchise like Battlestar Galactica, that I don't believe has ever really had a movie, I'm not really sure if Simon Kinberg necessarily is the right man for the job, but I will give him the benefit of the doubt, at least. Like I will at least give him the chance to prove himself on this particular film, just because I would be interested to see what his vision is going to be for this universe. Maybe it's not leaning so much on the sci-fi side of things. Maybe he is coming in to add some elements of action to it a little bit. So I would be interested to see his level of writing, but this doesn't make me super excited, but I will at least sort of give it a shot. I have enjoyed what he's been doing producing wise, but if he's getting his hands in regards to writing certain things, I just haven't felt that he's been the strongest writer in his career. And so for a franchise like Battlestar Galactica, that does kind of worry me a little bit. I can't lie though, that it does worry me.
I think kind of looking at a lot of his stuff on IMDb, the two films that I think he did the best writing on was X-Men Days of Future Past and Sherlock Holmes, and even Star Wars Rebels. But the reason I think those had a lot more strong writing to it is because he had like other people writing the movie with him. Mm-hmm. So I think if he does that with Battlestar Galactica, it could work out really well, but he has to, just not swallow his ego and be like, oh, I got this all by myself. He's got to be actually willing to accept the fact that he has like these weaknesses and that he might need someone else to help him, along the way, which doesn't mean you're not talented if you need help for writing your stuff. I mean, I think the best example to look at is George Lucas. I consider him like, one of the most talented writers and directors out there, but we've seen what happens when no one like rewrites his material, or, he's left to direct his own material without any like studio interference. You get the prequel trilogies. So I think, if he does get extra writers in with him for this movie, it could definitely be a really big success, because X-Men Days of Future Past is straight up like one of my all-time favorite superhero movies. Like I still think that movie's criminally underrated. I do think with help, he can do a good movie.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, that a lot of stuff that we do see on his IMDb, like a lot of the stuff that he has written, the really good stuff, it feels like has been like him as co-writer. He's had additional people on board also. So we'll see what Simon Kinberg winds up doing. When it comes to things like that, the problem is that you never know who comes up with certain ideas, right? So you don't know which aspects of the actual storyline that they've actually provided themselves. In a sense, you don't know which writer certainly came from. So now that he's going to be solo on this one, or at least for now he's considered as a solo writer, we'll see what happens with the rest of the development for this movie. I honestly like the idea of it being told more as a TV series than a movie, because I am kind of curious as to what this movie is going to be. How much information are you going to try and cram within that 2.5 hour limit, or whatever the case may be? Because I do feel like TV wise might set up a little bit perfectly for Battlestar Galactica, but we'll see, man. We'll see. I am at least glad that Simon Kinberg is continuing to get more opportunities, especially after Dark Phoenix, for sure, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do we know though if this movie is going to be like still in continuity with the original series, or is it going to be like a full on reboot?
I don't believe it says in here. I didn't read anything that said it was going to be. It just says has a new franchise universe to work with, and we'll be starting from the ground up, telling the story. So I'm assuming it's a retelling of maybe the original television series. You know, maybe the first part of it at least. You know. So yeah, so that's all it says in regards to that, though. All right, guys. But listen, if you're familiar with Battlestar Galactica, what did you think of the television series? Are you thrilled about the idea of us potentially getting a movie? And now that you know that somebody like Simon Kinberg is going to be producing and writing this film, does that give you even more confidence? Are you a little bit on the fence? Go ahead and certainly let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Stuart, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic here. This one I am really excited to go ahead and talk about, not only because it has my name in the title, but because of the fact that growing up as a kid, I was a really big fan of the movies. For those of you who don't recall, Addams Family was massively huge, I feel like, back in the 90s. We wind up getting ourselves 2 great movies, and I think they even rolled out a few animated series for Addams Family over the time. But ladies and gentlemen, the Addams Family is still around. They have no plans on stopping the Addams Family craze anytime soon. But then I believe we also just got an animated movie just rather recently as well. So it seems as though the Addams Family is gaining in popularity once again. So much, in fact, that even Tim Burton wants to go and get his hands on this property. Let's go ahead and dive into this, Stuart. This comes to us from Deadline.com. Addams Family live action series from Tim Burton heats up the TV marketplace. It says exclusive in what could mark his first major live action TV series. Tim Burton is setting his sights on the Addams Family, looking to develop a new series focused on the famous clan. Sources tell Deadline that Burton is in negotiating to executive produce and possibly direct all episodes of this new take of the franchise. Smallville developers and executive producers Alfred Goh and Miles Millar will be the head writers on the show and serve as showrunners as well as executive producers along with Burton. It says, while not confirmed, sources say that the new live action series will be set in present times and be from the perspective of Wednesday Addams and what the world would look like to her in 2020. Man, Stuart, I love this. This for me, if you want to talk about just a match made in heaven, I think this is as close to a relationship that you could possibly find. Just considering of how creative and just a visionary that Tim Burton is. I don't want to say it's hard, but I feel like there are certain directors and people that you watch their movies, not even knowing it's their movie, but just visually watching it, you can immediately pick up on who is doing that, like whose movie that is. And Tim Burton just has that style. Whenever you look at a Tim Burton film, it's very easy to be like, is this a Tim Burton film? This has got to be a Tim Burton film, because it's just a way that he does his filming. It's so creative and so visionary that I honestly feel like Addams Family is the perfect setup for him. He's always into sort of that gothic element, that dark element, if you will, but still having a little bit of fun with it. And I think that type of vision fits the world of Addams Family so incredibly well. I was a huge fan of it growing up as a kid with its 2 movies. It's where I fell in love with Christina Ricci as a kid. Like for me, I used to absolutely love her growing up as a child. You know, Wednesday was like one of my biggest crushes back in the day. And the movie was just always made me laugh. Angelica Houston, I mean, some really great actors in there. I believe the guy from why am I blanking on his name from Back to the Future? The guy that played Doc.
Oh, Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. Yeah, he was in it also. So some really great characters, some really great humor as well. And so if you tell me Tim Burton's on here to executive produce and direct these episodes, and on top of that, that you're getting the Smallville creators to come on board and write this series. Huge fan of Smallville. I love the collaboration that we got here. I think this is something that's going to be very, very special, especially being set in present day. I think that's going to be spectacular also. But Stuart, you hear this news, Tim Burton on board, Smallville creators on board. Is this a match made in heaven to you too, or what? What are your thoughts?
Oh God, if this was early 2000s, I would be like, this is the perfect, like, this is so perfect. And not to say like Tim Burton still doesn't have it in him. It's just that for me personally, I think the last movie he directed that I enjoyed was Sweeney Todd. And that was like back in 2007. So, you know, I and I don't mean to sound like super negative. I just haven't really enjoyed any Tim Burton movie since then. Like, I thought Dumbo was just okay at the best.
Is that on Tim Burton though, or did he write that too?
He directed it. I know that.
Oh, he directed. Okay.
So yeah, and it's just a lot of his more recent films I just haven't really been the biggest fan of. So I'm definitely going to go into this with an open mind though, because like I said, just because he's had some flops to me anyways, doesn't mean he's done as a director. You know, it might just mean he hasn't had the right project. But I do think if any project's going to like kind of put him back on my radar, Addams Family would be the perfect one, right up his alley. I think he can definitely, especially if, you know, we kind of get like the more early 2000s vibe from Tim Burton, I think it can be something really good. You know, because I know he has what it takes to give us the really cool gothic sets, along with like just the perfect humor to go with it as well. Yeah, I'll say I'm slightly optimistic about it. Not super optimistic yet because I still got to like see something from it. But yeah, I'm slightly optimistic.
Nice, man. Well, hey, you know, I mean, you do make a great point. I mean, maybe some of his latest directing work necessarily hasn't been the best, but I guess if anything, like some of the movies that I have seen by him, I would probably blame a lot of that on maybe just the script not being actually that good. Like Tim Burton trying to do everything he can on his side, but maybe the script just not necessarily being there for it to be a great collaborative movie at the end of the day. So we'll see. I think the fact that he does have the creators of Smallville and Alfred Goh and Miles Millar, I mean, these writers together have done some pretty amazing work. They created Shanghai Noon and Nights, you know, that Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan movie. They also did Spider-Man. They were the screenwriters for Spider-Man 2, if I'm not mistaken. They also did the Smallville television series together, Shannara Chronicles together, Into the Badlands together also. So they got a ton of really great stuff on their IMDb. I'm sure there's some things in here we could pick out that are like kind of questionable, but I feel like some really impactful television series and movies have been helmed by these two writers. So I feel like the combination of them along with Tim Burton to go ahead and put something like this together maybe gives me a little bit more confidence in that. And then just really just the characters and the content that we are really working with. This feels like this could be a really fun sort of ride for them to get on. And I think just because it is the Addams Family, I think we'll see peak Tim Burton certainly at its finest, because it feels very much just right in line with what he's capable of doing. But so yeah, I'm eager for this. I really am. Again, maybe there is a bias for me because I do have that attachment to watching Addams Family really as a kid growing up. So a part of me really would love to see this successfully. And in today's day and age, Stuart, where television is becoming just as popular of movies, if not producing some great content, for the most part, I feel like this we could have gold here, but we'll certainly see what happens. But any last words in regards to the Addams Family thing that you want to talk about?
I guess let me ask you this: who would you cast as the dad and another like cast members, if you could think of them?
Oh Lordy. Who would I play for Gomez Addams? You know what? Oscar Isaac. Give me Oscar Isaac as Gomez Adam. I think that would be great. I can easily see him put I mean, he would probably look just so over the top with the hair and the mustache. But I think Oscar Isaac would be really great as Gomez Addams. I would be interested to see just that side of him. Wednesday, I don't know who I would pick up as Wednesday, and even, man, I don't know how Oscar Isaac just popped into my head. Like, I looked at a picture of Gomez and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Oscar Isaac. That's the only one I'll give you right now, Stuart. I'll have to think about the other ones, but Oscar Isaac for Gomez Addams, please, casting.
Awesome,
do that.
awesome.
And then, yeah, if anything else comes to mind, I'll certainly go ahead and let you guys know. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic for the day. We got two more that we're going to go ahead and break down for you guys. And we're going to start talking a little bit of Disney right now. Let's go ahead and jump into these Disney topics. Let's see here. Real quick shout out goes to Bacon and Sushi for stopping by. Good morning, guys. Just woke up, 9:45 here. Well, thanks for joining Bacon and Sushi. I certainly appreciate it. And we'll get to some of your comments later on for sure. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into our next topic. Stuart, Disney Plus is in desperate need of as much original TV content as it certainly can for its streaming service. I feel like if there has been any downside to the streaming platform, has been some of its lack of original content that we have certainly been getting since it wind up launching. But it definitely feels as though Disney Plus is turning that corner and understanding just what they have in regards to a gold mine underneath them with their streaming service and some of the properties that they're holding on to. That one begs the question of, I think it's time for us, Disney, to start pushing forward with some additional content for your streaming service. And Disney certainly tends to agree, Stuart. As of right now, they are bringing us a Willow sequel series, officially a go at Disney Plus. And we also have a director set in John Chu, who's also going to be joining this project as well. Do me a big favor, Stuart, if you can, bring up John Chu's IMDb real quick whenever you get a chance. But this comes to us from Variety, letting us know that a Willow sequel series is in the works. It says the enchanting world of Willow, created by George Lucas, is officially coming to the small screen. Disney Plus has confirmed a sequel series taking place years after the events of the original Ron Howard directed pick is heading into production next year. Howard is returning to the project as executive producer, along with original star Warwick Davis, who will once again play the hero Willow Ufgood. He says the series has also tapped Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights director John Chu to helm the pilot, and executive producer Jonathan Kasdan from Solo and Wendy Miracle from Arrow will serve as the showrunners as well. It says it will introduce all new characters to the magical realm of fairy queens and two-headed Eborsisk monsters. I'm pretty sure I completely butchered that. It says news on the official green light from Disney Plus comes over a year after the project was first reported, which I believe we actually spoke on sometime last year also. So this comes from John Hugh, the gentleman that's going to be directing it. He says, growing up in the 80s, Willow has had a profound effect on me. The story of the bravest heroes in the least likely places allowed me, an Asian American kid growing up in a Chinese restaurant looking to go to Hollywood, to believe in the power of our own will, determination, and of course, inner magic. So the fact that I get to work with my heroes from Kathleen Kennedy to Ron Howard is bigger than a dream come true. It's a bucket list moment for me. John Kasdan and Wendy have had such groundbreaking new characters and delightful surprises to this timeless story that I can't wait for the world to come along on this epic journey with us. And then we even have Ron Howard says it's creatively exciting not only to revisit the world and characters first conceived by George Lucas, but to see it take flight in such a fresh, fun, and cinematic ways through the imagination of John Kasdan and Team Willow. This isn't a nostalgic throwback. It's a creative lean forward, and it's a blast to be a part of it all. Stuart, you know, for me, when it comes to Willow, it's funny, man. I was actually just sitting down with a girlfriend yesterday, and she didn't even know I was going to be talking about Willow today on the show. And she even suggested the fact that we go back and rewatch Willow. And I'm like, really? Because I was like, I honestly have been thinking about rewatching it this week because of the fact that we had this story on deck. So maybe sometime this weekend, me and her will get the opportunity to revisit this. But I love this film growing up as a kid. Honestly, Warwick Davis was just honestly the best. Val Kilmer was fantastic in the movie also. Just love this movie growing up as a kid. I don't really know if you were connected to Willow or if this movie was maybe way past your time growing up as a kid or not, Stuart. But this is always a world that I've been wanting to dive back into. I am a big sucker for like a sorcery and magic and dragons and fairies and elves. I mean, you tell me we dive back into that world and I'm absolutely here for it. So the fact that we have somebody like Ron Howard that's coming back who did the movie to executive produce this so that this movie stays close to not only its lore, but its original intent when it was first made, you know, harnessing that love and creativity from George Lucas. I think having somebody like a Ron Howard attached to this is important for this television series. And then just the writing team alone for the showrunners and Jonathan Kasdan, who has had a ton of connections clearly to the past Star Wars movies, along with the most recent Solo film, and Wendy, who had a pivotal role to play when it comes to the showrunner as one of the showrunners for Arrow as well. I love the creative team behind this, and I can already, just from hearing what they've talked about, that they're really going to bring not only the imagination but the creativity to this series. And the creative team alone really makes me trust this decision here. But Stuart, you hear the idea that we're getting a sequel series for Willow, something that was reported last year and is now officially greenlit and ready to go. What are your thoughts on us getting this particular series?
Oh man, I hate that I have to say this twice in like one episode.
Stuart,
we got to introduce you to Willow.
We got to introduce you to some 80s and 90s movies, man.
Yeah, I guess it's weird too because I love fantasy, but I haven't had a chance to watch Willow before. But I'm definitely adding it to my list of things that I'll watch next month after October, because October I'm just sticking with horror movies mostly.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Yeah, I watched La Llorona last night. Speaking of horror movies, La Llorona, I believe, on HBO Max. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have.
Okay, definitely. I would recommend it this October then. Okay.
I'll probably keep that in mind then. But yeah, no, I'll definitely have to go back and check out Willow. I definitely really like the actor that plays him. I loved him, and I like all his roles in Star Wars that he does. But I also love him as a Leprechaun. I don't know if you've ever seen the Leprechaun franchise.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that he plays him.
Yeah, so great actor. So I look forward to seeing him come back and reprising his role. And then yeah, I think it's so weird. So I'm looking at John's IMDb page, and he definitely has a lot of range in terms of films that he's done. In terms of what's good and what's bad, because he's done the Step Up franchise, which isn't for me personally. I'm not a fan of it, but I know it definitely has its fan base out there. So I wouldn't call it.
You said Step Up?
Yeah.
Man, I love Step Up. Well, maybe the first or second one. After that, I never kept up with it though.
Yeah, I know it definitely has its fan base and everything. And then he's also done G.I. Joe Retaliations, which I thought was a really fun kind of dumb movie, honestly. He also did, I think you mentioned this, Crazy Rich Asians, which I thought was a pretty good film. But then he's also done Gem and the Holograms, which
no, I didn't see that one listed. No,
yeah,
really? He directed that?
Yeah, he directed it. I don't know if he wrote it.
Oh, okay.
But either way, the biggest thing I know a lot of people hate about that movie is the fact that there's a whole scene where they make fun of fans of the show. So I haven't seen it myself, so I can't say for sure if that happens. I haven't seen the movie myself. But yeah, if so let's hope he doesn't do that with Willow. In other words, to have like an episode where it's like, oh, were you a fan of the original movie? Ha, you're a loser.
Man, Stuart, I gotta tell you, man, talk about deflating all the air out of my, you said Gem and the Holograms. I'm like, he did that movie. Oh no.
But I'll say this though, I'll this may sound like a backwards compliment, but it's not meant to be. But like, you know, it does show that the director does have like a lot of range and he's willing to take risks, essentially. The fact that he can produce some really good movies that a lot of people like, because I can tell you, working at a theater, Crazy Rich Asians, those shows really sold out.
Yeah, I heard it did really well.
Yeah, so, you know, it definitely shows that he's not afraid to take a risk, definitely. So I think it was like Gem and the Holograms was like kind of like just an experiment for him, maybe, and it just didn't pay off. So, you know, I try not to hold like a few bad movies here and there against directors when they've had like an impressive resume besides that. So, you know, I do think that him being like a writer and producer on Willow is probably going to be a good decision in the long run.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. I definitely hope so, man. I was really eager to see this, so I'm hoping the creative team. Now, Stuart, you got me questioning things, man. I got a big question mark over this guy. So we'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. But guys, at the end of the day, we definitely want to know your thoughts. Willow is in fact returning, ladies and gentlemen. Disney Plus will have a sequel series going forward. What are your thoughts on it? I would love to know your guys' impressions of Willow. Have you seen the movie? What did you think? Are you thrilled about the idea of us getting a prequel series or a sequel series? Go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And our last topic, Stuart, we're going to go ahead and jump in to our last topic, and this should be a pretty fun debate considering that we're both two Star Wars fans here. And to be honest with you, I had no idea that Kanye West was a Star Wars fan also, but he's clearly has taken his time during this pandemic to certainly become one. This article comes to us because of the fact that he really posts a big question that I think is pretty interesting for us to certainly talk about. So this comes to us from comicbook.com. Good old Kanye West opened his mouth this week. I believe he was interviewing with Joe Rogan, and he says Kanye West says that the Star Wars prequels, they're better than the sequel trilogies, guys. Let me see if I can if I bring this up. You know what? Let me stop this for a second here because I want to share this. But I also want to share, I think we can get away with sharing a little bit of the audio. So this is what I want to say, like, I don't even know if you'll even hear it or not.
Right here. I can hear it on my end.
At an interview, they said that George Lucas's prequels are worse than the corporate.
I hope other people can hear it.
Disney Star Wars.
I feel like I would normally be able to hear it.
Revenge of the Sith.
But anyway, I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. But he's pretty much saying,
yeah. Like, I watched that like 10 times during COVID. Like, don't jump, Anakin. No. I got the high ground.
Those early movies were pure. Yeah. They were pure.
The fact that Kanye West is talking Star Wars makes me laugh.
Prequels are better.
He sounds like he's like the most knowledgeable person in the world about Star Wars. All of a sudden.
Disney Star Wars design team. I know you're gonna like put my face up in the
anyway. For those of you who like, can't hear it, or maybe you can hear it, I'm not quite sure. Let me know if you guys can or can't hear this in the background. But regardless,
us as children, the
good old Kanye West, he says, and this is about to make me mad right here. He said, the first time you've seen me get mad in an interview, they said George Lucas prequels were worse than the corporate made Disney Star Wars, like Revenge of the Sith. We saw how Darth Vader was made. Like, I watched that 10 times during COVID. Don't jump, Anakin. I've got the higher ground. He even throws in the higher ground line also. He says the rapper adds, I'm saying the prequels are better than anything. And I'm sorry, Disney Star Wars design team. No, man, this is George. This is his baby. That thing was set in his heart to show us as children, to show us the hero's journey. He even threw in the hero's journey line too, man. You know, Kanye West coming through with his thoughts on the Star Wars prequel trilogy. So Stuart, this throws the question out to us, man. Kanye West thinks the Star Wars prequels are better than the sequel trilogy. Do you agree, sir?
I I definitely respect people's opinion for that, but I do disagree overall. And again, it's like what I said before about George Lucas. I think he's really creative, really brilliant. I also just don't think when he's left to his own devices, I do think he's like one of those people that needs someone to relook at his work, rewrite it, and that kind of stuff. Because I do think the prequel trilogy had the potential to be better than the original trilogy. I think that if people weren't afraid to tell George Lucas, hey, maybe this would work better if yada yada yada, we could have had something so much more unique. But at the same time, I definitely get where he's coming from when he talks about the corporate made Disney Star Wars, because yes, there is the idea that the Disney era of Star Wars movies, specifically like the sequel trilogy, it feels like they're made using numbers and not made necessarily, through one person's vision. You had the first one being directed by J.J. Abrams, and it definitely felt very much like a J.J. Abrams movie. But then, you had the fans like complaining, oh man, this movie just didn't take enough risks. It felt too much to, what everyone was already expected. So, then you get The Last Jedi, which takes risks. a bunch of risks. Some of them, to my opinion, were really good. Others, not so much. So then you get the third movie where people are like, oh, the second one took too many risks. We want something like in between. And then you get the third movie and it tries to be in between, but like ends up just kind of, to my opinion, being kind of a mess overall. Whereas if it was made by George Lucas, like the prequel and the original trilogy were, you would have at least seen like that the film itself kind of knows where it's going in. It would have a specific direction that it would know to take. Maybe not the most subtle foreshadowing, as they practically spoiled that Palpatine was Sidious at the end of Phantom Menace, but you could still it still would have at least felt like a coherent story made with someone's vision in mind rather than just made by the numbers.
So you're leaning towards sequel?
I am saying sequels are definitely better than the prequels, but I'm also saying that I definitely get where he's coming from especially when he calls it like a corporate, made series. Because I do kind of agree with that.
Yeah, no, I definitely do kind of agree with that. Stuart, I didn't think I was gonna say this until I saw this article. Honestly, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with the prequels, man. And this is coming from a guy who I bashed the prequels for a while, man. I bashed them for a while. But the truth be told is I feel like after I watched this sequel trilogy, it really just brought forth a whole new appreciation of the prequels, of the prequels for me. While I know George Lucas, maybe not the best director at that point in time in his career for the sequel trilogy, because I feel like a director certainly would have gotten a lot more out of his actors for sure. One of the things that I loved about the prequels is that it's coherent. There's a full-fledged story there. There's some great emotional elements for a lot of our important characters from the Star Wars franchise that are in there. The story has opened up a plethora of spin-offs and further diving into the lore with the Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars and things like that. Like, there's so much great content as far as storyline wise in the prequels that I think that cohesiveness, that fluidity of it, maybe because of the fact that it was just done by George Lucas, I felt like if the sequel trilogy had that same cohesiveness, this might be a different story for me. This might be a completely different outcome. Because listen, and this is crazy, and I don't know if tell me if this makes sense. I really enjoyed The Force Awakens. I think J.J. Abrams did a great job in that. I mean, you want to talk about revitalizing and bringing energy into a franchise and being like, we're about to kick off on a brand new adventure, guys. I love The Force Awakens. I went and saw that movie like 17 times. I honestly saw, and that's not an exaggeration, I legit saw this movie in the teens. So Force Awakens, great movie in my eyes. The Last Jedi, while I don't think it's the greatest Star Wars movie, I think there's gold in that movie. There's so much great elements of characters in there, storytelling, a lot of depth into the Force and the understanding of the fight and the balance and things like that. Really enjoyed it. It definitely has its faults for sure, but that's 2 out of 3 movies that I really that I certainly enjoyed out of that sequel trilogy. And yet, when I look back on the prequels, for me, Revenge of the Sith is my Force Awakens. Revenge of the Sith is one of those movies I can put on constantly and really enjoy. Like George Lucas finally had it all come together. The actors really started depending on themselves and their own interpersonal relationships with the rest of the cast to bring more life to each of the screens. So Revenge of the Sith is my equal to The Force Awakens. The other movie that's my equal to The Last Jedi, The Clone Wars. Listen, I know a lot of people, or the Attack of the Clones, I know a lot of people probably weren't the biggest fan of that. I mean, the performances were atrocious at times. The love story between Padme and Amidala, like Padme and Anakin, like the Force rolling in the grass in Naboo, like just the let me feed you this apple with my Force abilities, like just cringy stuff, man, cringy stuff. But there is an element of just action and adventure with the arena and the lightsaber battles and like Count Dooku, like great like lightsaber battles and stuff. I mean, there is a really fun element. And going back and thinking about my time in college growing up when these prequels were coming out, I had Attack of the Clones posters all over the place, man. I didn't realize visually how stunning I thought that movie was. Jango Fett, right? I mean, the clones, there were some really great attributes that while it wasn't the best film, it just added so much to the lore of Star Wars. So, you know, I gotta say, man, while they aren't the best, the fact that they are fun to a certain extent, they push technology more than, you know, since the original trilogy did. The fact that it has a cohesive story that just is told really well, like the pieces are there. The lack for me really is that of George Lucas as a director, but storyline wise, cohesiveness, I got to give it to the prequel trilogy here in regards to just wrapping things up neatly, putting it in a bow and presenting it to me. And I'm like, okay, I can swallow this pill. But man, when I look at the sequel trilogy, the way that it was concluded, the mishaps, the quick reactions, it just took a lot of the joy and enjoyment out of the trilogy for me, more than I honestly thought, despite me liking most of the films in the sequel trilogy. Rise of Skywalker just did it in for me, man. And I just I think that's that for me even more than the Phantom Menace, because at least the Phantom Menace had Duel of the Fates and freaking you know, Darth Maul in it and stuff. Rise of Skywalker just felt like a mess, and it honestly messed up the entire trilogy for me at the end of the day. But so yeah, I'll go sequels though, Stuart. I'll go sequels. I mean, excuse me, prequels. I'll go prequels.
You do bring up like a really good point though, with the prequel trilogy, is that the thing that it does way better than the Disney sequel trilogy is that the prequel trilogy had a bigger picture to the whole thing. And I think that's what a lot of people remember fondly about the prequel trilogy, is the bigger picture. Whereas, because I feel like that's the big thing, is that I'm willing to bet that if Rise of Skywalker had stuck the landing, less people would be angry about The Last Jedi. I think the reason that people are even more angry about The Last Jedi now is because of Rise of Skywalker failing to stick that landing. But I do think they could have easily stuck the landing even with The Last Jedi and even with the backlash from it. You know, but they kept making changes over and over when writing in the movie, and you could definitely tell going into it that you know, what we got in episode 9 was not nothing was kind of planned from episode 7. Whereas like when you look at the first one, like I said, sometimes it's not the most subtle foreshadowing, but you do have a lot of foreshadowing in terms of like things that we're going to be seeing in the future of the movie, and just, right off the bat, I think like Palpatine's interest in Anakin, being shown right away, was a really cool thing. And then I also loved, I think the one thing that gets like really overlooked about the Phantom Menace in general, just because of like with episodes 2 and 3, I feel like those were the movies where they started to use a little bit too much of the green screen. But I feel like Phantom Menace was that movie where it was that perfect balance of adding new special effects, but still having everything look and feel like a Star Wars film. Only adding like the CG effects when really necessary. But then, it wasn't really until Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith where I feel like they did way too much of the CG overall. But the other thing I'll give the prequel trilogy this, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say I'm not the only one who felt this way. There was a period of time where I wasn't a fan of the prequels for a while, and I'm like, nah, it's the original trilogy for me. But during that period of time, I had never seen Star Wars The Clone Wars. I literally didn't watch Star Wars The Clone Wars until after I had graduated high school. And even way after that. It wasn't until literally a few months before The Force Awakens was coming out, where I was told by a lot of people after the show was canceled by Disney. I'm like, oh wait, that crappy show was still going on. And that's when I had people like telling me, have you seen it? And I'm like, well, I saw that movie that they had. Yeah, exactly. So I assumed like the whole show was really bad, but then I actually gave the show a watch. And after watching the Clone Wars, I suddenly liked the prequels a lot more. I think that's one of the things that probably helps a lot of people look fondly back on the prequels is the Clone Wars, because you could tell that it's made by people who, saw the potential of what the prequel trilogy really could have been. And that's what you get in the Clone Wars. And I think that's it definitely helps me appreciate the prequels a lot more as like a whole. And yeah, like I said, I think the prequels had a much better, bigger picture in the fact that it actually had a bigger picture. It actually had a cohesive narrative. And I think that's the part that the Disney sequels fail on the most, is that I think not Rise of Skywalker, I think Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are great individual movies. And then I think Rise of Skywalker is just meh kind of altogether, but the issue is the lack of connectivity between the three of them, the lack of coherent stories between all three of them.
No, I think you make a great point, man. And honestly, I think if they stuck with the Colin Trevorrow script, that felt like there was cohesiveness and some connective tissues to the past. Like you can easily see the ramifications of what happened from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi playing a significant role in Colin Trevorrow's script. I mean, even John Boyega came out recently and talked about his love for that Colin Trevorrow script, probably because he actually had Finn doing something like an actual arc in that. He actually had an arc in that goes all the way back to The Force Awakens. I mean, it definitely would have been that cohesiveness that you were talking about.
There's a rant that I had immediately after we talked about John Boyega's thoughts on the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I think this is the perfect point for me to kind of get it out of the way. But one thing I really hate about The Rise of Skywalker in retrospect is that they literally kind of retconned his character arc from The Force Awakens, because in The Force Awakens, we're assuming that he's not shooting at the civilians because he wants to be a good person and not kill innocent people, right? And then looking at the Rise of Skywalker, it's almost like they retconned that by saying, oh, no, he didn't shoot at the civilians because he's a good person. He didn't shoot at the civilians because the Force told him not to. Just like kind of thinking about that more, it's like that's actually kind of a douche move to like really you literally just erased what was so cool about his character in The Force Awakens. And I still kind of defend Last Jedi with his arc, not the scenes written with him, because I still think Canto Bight was a really bad scene altogether, but I do love what Rian Johnson was doing with his character, because, you know, end of Force Awakens, he was still kind of on the fence about, you know, being in the Resistance or, you know, just kind of fighting for himself. So I do like the angle that they had where there was literally a shoulder angel and not literally, but, you know, they had a shoulder angel and a shoulder devil, basically, essentially both like, because you had one guy who was fully just neutral, and, you know, he saw what that would make him look like, but then he had Rose who was like fully with the Resistance. So, you know, essentially he had like the cool balance there. And I think I loved how that was what really helped determine his character at the very end of that movie, to become, you know, fully with the Resistance. So, you know, there are things about his arc that worked, but I feel like Rise of Skywalker just, you know, pooped on all of it.
Yeah, it really did, and it felt very much sort of reactionary too, unfortunately, because I do think if Disney had actually just stuck to whatever type of plan that they might have had, if there was one, I think if they had just stuck their course, they might have actually stuck the landing. And you're right. I think if Rise of the Skywalker is successful, I think people look back on the trilogy completely differently. So we'll see, guys, but listen, we want to know your thoughts. You know, listen, I know some people are probably biased because of the fact that they maybe grew up during that time period, right? Like maybe the prequels are your Star Wars trilogy, and so you hold them a little bit closer to you. But if you have seen both trilogies, I am kind of curious to know your thoughts on it. If you had to put them versus one another, which one walks away from this, the sequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy? We definitely want to go ahead and know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. Yeah, man, you know, it's just funny how time truly heals all wounds, man. You know, especially when it comes to the prequel, the prequel trilogy, just how much hate this movie and things like that and series wind up getting all those years back, especially the Phantom Menace, you know. But we look at it now 20 years into the future, and people are looking at the prequel trilogy just a little bit different, like, you know what, maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there definitely are some bad. Trust me, George needed some yes men or some no men in his life, if you will. He had plenty of yes men, but something to be like, hey, George, you gotta do a better job at directing. He clearly does not like directing people, and I think if there was anything that pretty messed up that trilogy, it definitely was that. But storyline wise, give it to me, man. You know what, Stu, you brought up a good point. The idea that the Clone Wars animated series, I think, really helped a lot of people maybe appreciate the prequel trilogy a little bit more once they started getting further in depth and started seeing really all the goodness that had been planted in the trilogy now being thrown into the animated realm. Do you think that if something like an animated series came out for the sequel trilogy, do you think that would help also to bring different types of awareness to the sequel trilogy? Or do you think that maybe the prequels were just that rare circumstance because there was so much actual content for them to actually pull from? You know what I mean? Because the Clone Wars went on several years, we know, in Star Wars lore, so clearly there's a huge chunk of stuff for them to, you know, sink their teeth and tell their story in. Do you think a sequel trilogy series, like animated series, would do the same thing though, or no?
I don't know if it would fix it, but it could like help a few of the issues that I had in the Rise of Skywalker,
because we don't have I was gonna say, because we don't have a storyline for those 3 years in between Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. I'm wondering if there is some sort of animated series that could be dove into those 3 years between the films, maybe.
Yeah, I think that could work really well. I think I think a couple of the things that would help is, you know, maybe showing how the friendship kind of, because, you know, we always saw, like, you know, Finn and Poe as really good friends, and Finn and Rey as really good friends. So maybe showing how, like, Poe and Rey became friends, like, in between the time would be kind of cool.
Heck, maybe use that animated series to kind of bridge that gap of, like, how Palpatine even came by, you know, like maybe you utilize an animated series to further tell that story so it doesn't feel as discombobulated when you actually watch the live action trilogy.
Yeah. Make it actually like, maybe there's a way Palpatine finds out about like having the two of them together making him more powerful. Because I still found like that part kind of weird at the very end of the movie, where it's like, because you're the kid of me and you're the kid of another Sith Lord, somehow me absorbing your power makes me more powerful. And then it felt like they were just making up the rules as they went along. So maybe if there were things to like set up those rules in an animated series, that could work too.
I mean, who knows? I don't know if anything can save that storyline if they tried to shoehorn in there, but we'll see. We'll see. I love the way you think, though, man. I love the way you think, though. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts. Honestly, Stuart, I did not even think I would honestly say the prequel trilogies. So the fact that Kanye West even brought it up in this article, I started thinking to myself, like, do I really like the prequel trilogies even more? Next thing I know, I'm like, you know what? I probably really do. I probably really do. But guys, at the end of the day, we want to know your thoughts. Prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. And with that, Stuart, that's going to wrap it up for us here today in regards to our topics. I do believe, though, that we do have some a live viewer question. If you want to go ahead and look through some of the comments, feel free to. I'm going to go ahead and see what we have here. This comes to us from Jessica Friedman. Question for A+ Hero Report. She says, would you like to see Batgirl get her own movie, and will Supergirl end soon? Which member of Team Supergirl would you like to see get a spinoff or join another Arrowverse team? So would you like first question, would you like to see Batgirl get a movie of her own, Stuart? Is there a place in this cinematic universe for a Batgirl movie?
Definitely. I actually kind of like had an idea for a Batgirl movie a while ago, but like kind of as I was writing out my ideas, I realized it was almost exactly like Spider-Man Homecoming unintentionally. Because I do think because like one idea I had is that she starts out as a superhero because she was at a costume party, kind of like in the comic books. So it'd be kind of an excuse to have like the Adam West Batgirl comic book costume, or not comic book costume, but the Batgirl costume from the Adam West series.
Yeah, I used to love that costume.
Yeah, so I would have like that in the very beginning, and then like Bruce Wayne sees her potential, gives her like a really cool updated suit, but then she messes up on something really badly, so he takes the suit away, and then she has to prove herself back with the Halloween costume again. Realizing it when I wrote it all down, I'm like, oh, this is literally Spider-Man Homecoming.
Nice, man, nice. I wouldn't mind Batgirl getting her own movie. If you ask me, I think she should have been in Birds of Prey, maybe even minus Harley Quinn, maybe even give Harley Quinn her own movie and give us a true Birds of Prey with Barbara Gordon in there. I would have liked to have seen that. So like, I doubt that we would get a Birds of Prey sequel, but if we were to, I would love to see Barbara Gordon as Batgirl in that movie. I think that's how it probably originally should have gone. But we had Josh Whedon that was supposed to be working on a Batgirl movie, but he eventually came out and said, sorry guys, I don't really have a plan for it, which I think was just BS. But so I don't think they're going to be tackling that anytime soon. But I honestly think Batman should literally just create its own cinematic universe. It's got so many characters, so many rogues gallery, that I feel like you could literally tell your own Batman cinematic universe story with individual movies. I think Batgirl would be great in there if they certainly wanted to do something along those lines. But I don't see it happening anytime soon, unfortunately, though.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you, and I think that might be what they might be trying to do. I think they want to still wait and see how the Robert Pattinson Batman movies do, but if they do well, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't take advantage of that and do like spinoff after spinoff.
I hope so. I mean, even if they were to give us like a Batgirl TV series on HBO Max or something, like spinning off out of what Matt Reeves has created, I would be on board with that also. So yeah, give me something Batgirl related. I wouldn't mind that. And she also says And will Supergirl end soon? Oh, I think she probably said, and with Supergirl ending soon, which member of Team Supergirl would you like to see spin off or join other Arrowverse teams? The one that I've always been saying is I would like to see Melissa Benoist as Supergirl in a Legion of Superhero television show that's hopefully spin off out of this. The one proposal that I've been throwing around is the idea of Mon-El or them coming back, and the season finale consists of her having to leave and go into the 31st century. So that would be mine. But do you have anybody else that you would like to see maybe join another Arrowverse team from Supergirl, Stuart?
Yeah, either the Legion of Superhero spinoff idea, or, you know, Martian Manhunter joining Superman and Lois, or, you know, even if he had his own like spinoff series that was like a detective series, that'd be pretty sick as well.
That would be pretty sick. I love the fact that Supergirl did tap into the detective side of things, giving him his own like investigative bureau, or like his own investigative company. I thought that was pretty neat. I wish they explored that a little bit more, honestly, but I do like that idea. I think that would be great for David Harewood. Let's see here. Another live viewer question. This comes to us from AJ coming through. A couple of questions here. What do you guys want to see in the Justice League Snyder cuts? For me, I just want to see his. I just want to see his movie. That's it, man. Like, I just want to see his movie. If there is one thing that I hope I get the opportunity to see, they were supposed to be Martian Manhunter reveal. I don't know if that was ever originally shot to full completion in the Justice League movie originally when Zack Snyder was on board, because they had the general from Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman who was supposed to reveal himself as Martian Manhunter in Justice League. So I'm hoping that's in it. If there is one thing I think the most that I really want to see, it would be that confirmation of a Martian Manhunter in this universe. So outside of just seeing Zack Snyder's vision and this film, because I know this is going to be a completely different movie than what I got. Outside of that, definitely Martian Manhunter reveal. What about you, Stuart?
Definitely giving that a strong second, Martian Manhunter. But the number one thing I still want to see in this, Green Lantern.
I knew you were gonna. I knew. Are you now a Green Lantern or the supposed Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern? Because I heard rumors that Ryan Reynolds was supposed to be the Green Lantern or something like that.
Now that would be awesome. I'm definitely not expecting that, but that would be really cool. I'm cool with just like, you know, anyone, you know, whether it's John Stewart or Hal Jordan, I'm cool with it. I would just really like to see like a because like there were so many rumors before the movie came out that Zack Snyder's secret reveal was going to be another Green Lantern. So I'd love it if that turned out to be true.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like from just I don't know, like Green Lantern present day, but I do remember from just the Justice League movie we got, the gigantic war where Apocalypse comes to Earth, I believe, and they have to face off against Themyscira, like the Amazon warriors and Greek gods and stuff, a bunch of people. I thought there was a Green Lantern shown in that scene, so maybe that's the Green Lantern he's referring to. But I would like to see a modern Green Lantern though in there at some point in time. So we'll see. He also says, how big do you think the Batman Matt Reeves will be like? And do you think it will give a new perspective of Robert Pattinson's image to audiences that only know him in the laughingstock franchise as Twilight? One, yes, I do think it will give people a completely different image of Robert Pattinson if it already hasn't. I think a lot of people that have had their doubts about Robert Pattinson, trust me, are still out there. I still know that people, regardless of what they see, are like, I'm mad about that whole idea. But I feel like most of those are kind of going away. I don't hear it as much before as more and more content starts to reveal itself. So yes, I do think that it will give people a different perspective on him. And maybe this will put him in the light of more people to go back and see some of his past work that they wind up missing out on, from Tenet to The Rover to, was it High Times or Good Times? I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but a ton of stuff that he's been in. But I hope that it does. And do I think the Batman Matt Reeves movie will be big? How big will it be? Huge. Huge. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to do huge numbers. What about you, Stuart?
Yeah, it's Batman. It's going to do huge numbers.
It's Batman. It's Batman.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that if people haven't already, this will definitely be the movie that like you know, makes people pretty much forget that he was Edward in Twilight, because you know, I kind of forget, or you know, I don't forget it because obviously you know, it's a movie that he's done and all that, but you know, I look at The Lighthouse, and then even though I haven't seen
great one, yes,
I walked in on a few scenes with it, and I've seen him in it, and it's like, yeah, it's, you can tell that he was wooden in Twilight because that was the direction he was given, was to be wooden, but like when he's actually able to act, he does a really good job.
I'm glad you brought up The Lighthouse, because I know I've heard some people have seen that movie and it's left them scratching their head. They're not sure what they just watched half the time. But the one thing that I feel everybody has said is that I don't know what I just watched, but William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson were brilliant in that film in regards to just like their performances. So I haven't watched it myself yet, but it is something. You know what? That's an October movie, man. I feel like that's an October movie. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find it somewhere and check that out.
Hopefully it's on HBO Max.
I hope so. I haven't seen it, but I haven't searched for it. So we'll see. He does say, what comic book character do you want to see in a video game or TV or movie adaptation? I feel like we've answered that quite a few times. I feel like my go-to tends to be Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. I really would love to see something like that. What have you said before in the past? I feel like you've had some thoughts on that too.
Yeah, kind of the same ones. I've always wanted a Booster Gold played by Nathan Fillion. I think that would have been perfect. Other than that, like Batman Beyond is another one I'd love to see as like a series.
Oh, I do like that suggestion, man. I do like that. All right. I think that is going to do it for all of our live viewer questions on our email side of things. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I think that's all the questions that we had. All right. Well, hey, guys, thank you very much for submitting your emails to us for our live viewer question section. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into some of these comments, Stuart, as we wrap up this particular week's episode.
All right. I feel like we answered this question before, but I'll bring it up one more time. The focus you want to see in the Flash season 7, like man, personally I just really want to see them doing what they did in the previous season, having the villains kind of being divided by you know, sections. So like maybe have like the first 9 episodes focus on one villain, then the latter part of the season focus on another villain. Nice.
I want to see a new Wally West or a new Flash introduced. You know, Grant Gustin's not going to be around forever. I do think it is important that we do have other speedsters in this world too. And so, yes, give me another Flash that's going to eventually either take over the mantle or eventually will have a big significant role in DC TV, certainly going forward, whether that's another version of Wally West, whether that's, you know, Bart Allen or whatever the case may be, Bartholomew Allen or whatever you want to call him, you know, AKA Impulse. I would love to see an Impulse maybe on here too. But yeah, an additional Flash somewhere would be great. I believe Indy has also talked about the idea like he would be open for the Tornado Twins eventually coming in if they wanted to. But we'll see. I feel like that might be a long ways away, but we'll see. I don't know. But for me, another Flash for sure in there.
It is weird to me that they haven't introduced Bart yet, because they've hinted at him several times in the show now, or like people will call Barry Bart by accident.
Oh yeah, I am kind of surprised that he is somebody that I really would like to see. I just feel like personality wise, he definitely would add just something new to that team. Shadow Nova
I had to bring that up.
Did Oscar Isaac play Gomez Addams in the animated movie? Did he? Let me
I looked it up, and yes, he did.
Oh, he did. Nice. Nice. I mean, that's so crazy because like facial feature wise, I feel like I can easily see him playing that role too. So the fact that he already did the voice, this is a shoo-in then for Oscar to be in part of the TV series. Come on, Oscar, jump on board, man. Jump on board. This is from Cindy, my girlfriend. What's up, Cindy? Yay for Willow. Yeah, again, we literally just talked about watching this movie this weekend. So maybe we'll still do it. We got some football to watch today and also some UFC that we missed yesterday. So maybe we can sneak in some Willow today. We'll see.
Awesome.
Bacon and Sushi says, do you think fans will see Static Shock movie as a wannabe Black Panther, especially if they've never watched an animated series? Those sensitive people that feel everything needs a reboot or a representation. No, I don't see it. They're significantly different. Like when I look at Black Panther and Static, there's nothing about it besides the fact that they're just black characters that scream, hey, this is going to be a wannabe Black Panther. No, I mean, that's just as closed-minded as the idea of like, oh, well, we already have one black superhero movie. We can't have any more, like it's just one black superhero movie is too much, like, hey, they're not all related. I'm like, I just feel maybe a very closed-minded person would see that, like, would call out like the idea of it being a wannabe Black Panther. But no, I haven't seen any fans mentioning that at all. Have you, Stuart?
No, I think you're definitely going to have the trolls on Twitter and Reddit like saying that, but that's about it. I feel like, okay, it might just be because I don't follow crappy people on Twitter or things like maybe that. But I feel like anytime there's casting essentially that, like, you feel like would cause the trolls to like rant about it. Like the best example I can give is with the Little Mermaid, how they casted a black actress to play her. I feel like there were more people complaining about her than there were actually people complaining about her. You know what I mean? Like, I get you. And I feel like that's what would happen if, the Static Shock movie would come out. People there'd be more people complaining about there being a black superhero movie than there would be people actually complaining about another black superhero movie.
I honestly think, if anything, I don't think people would look at this as a wannabe Black Panther, but they would. If there is a complaint, I would see people would probably be like, why can't we get a Black Lightning movie? Like, I want a Black Lightning movie, or I want a Static Shock TV series. I don't want a movie. Like, just maybe that would be the comparison, but I just can't see anybody comparing it to Black Panther. Like, it's just two completely different characters, two completely different circumstances. There's no connective tissue besides the fact they're just black superheroes. So no, that there's nothing else there. So no, I don't expect that to happen. He also says, I get reminded of Will Smith's daughter Willow every time you guys say Willow. I whip my hair back and forth. I whip my hair. I used to love that song back in the day. I can't lie. A little Willow Smith reference there. Yeah, see, shall know, baby. He says Static would be a good contrast to Black Panther. Black Panther about being more privileged than others like Killmonger, but you got somebody like Static, gang violence and urban cultures and stuff. So, yeah, he even says it works great as a gangster kind of superhero movie. So yeah, I just definitely know definitely good contrast for sure. I don't see people comparing that. Like I said, if the people are going to compare, it's probably going to be the Black Lightning, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was one where I don't know. I think this is a possibility. Bacon and Sushi asked if if the Hasbro Power Rangers movie goes well, maybe in the future line we can get a Dimension crossover with the 2017 movie cast. Could help redeem the box office flop. Like, I could see it happening in the show if assuming that the show's like going to become like more bigger budget, more expensive. But I feel like I don't know, doing that in a movie probably wouldn't work as well, because even when you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've been around for like three different phases now. I almost said years. I'm like, wait, no, way more than that. And even now, they're only just now kind of dabbling into the multiverse stuff. So I don't know if, right off the bat, like after the first Power Rangers Hasbro movie, they're immediately going to be like, okay, people like this, so let's do a dimensional crossover type of film. I feel like unless this movie franchise goes on for a long time, that won't happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with you there, Stuart. Like, Like, it is something that I think it's a cool idea. I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. But if it is something that they're going to tap into, it's going to be way far down the line before they tap into it. So future down the line, that sounds about accurate. Bacon and Sushi. How far though? I think it'll be pretty far. Honestly, I think they really would like to establish their movie franchise and their universe and launch that off before they start getting people reminders of what came before them. Hey guys, remember, I know we got something cool working, but remember that 2017 series that you guys wanted so much? And then people were like, oh, I still want that. I want that more. And then it's just, establish yourself first, Hasbro, before you wind up doing that. But I would be open to that. I think that would be really cool. I would love to see that. Stuart, let me ask you a question. Because of where we're at with the pandemic and the uncertainty, I should say, of movie theaters opening up again, or even if they do open up again, how long will it be before, people start going to the theaters in droves so that the box office is where it used to be, right? Do you think Hasbro, now that they've moved the Power Rangers from Paramount to Entertainment One, do you think we'll still get a big blockbuster Power Ranger movies in the theaters? Or do you think Hasbro could potentially be looking forward at maybe some of the big question marks that are out there right now? The 2017 movie, while some people enjoyed it, box office wise, it failed. Do you risk the idea of putting this movie back out in movie theaters when the first one flopped? You don't know what the box office is going to be like. Or do you switch gears and still make a movie, but maybe more for streaming purposes? It's something that's been on my mind, honestly, since they announced the movie from Paramount to Entertainment One. It makes me wonder if whether or not their mindset has changed on how to present it. Do you think that's I think it's a possibility. I'm not going to say 100% is confirmed, but do you think it's a possibility, or do you think it's full steams ahead for Hasbro in regards to releasing this as a movie in theaters?
It's actually, I feel like if you asked me this question 3 weeks ago, I would have said, oh yeah, without a doubt it's going to theaters. But now with the recent announcements from both Disney and Time Warner saying that they're going to be putting a lot more focus on their streaming platforms than they are on their actual movies, I think depending on the type of movies we get on Disney Plus and HBO Max in the next 2 years and how well they do on those platforms, that will be the determining factor for the Power Rangers movies. I think they moved it to E1 more just for the possibility of wanting to stream it only, not because they've made up their mind yet, though.
I see what you're saying. I was saying just keeping their options open. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's just been on my mind, and it is something that I'm keeping a close eye on. Let's see here. Jessica Fryman also says, is there word on Indiana Jones 5? The only word I've been hearing on Indiana Jones 5 is that it hasn't happened yet. And this is something that's been in the making for years. I feel like ever since Star Wars, literally ever since Star Wars was announced to have been purchased by Lucasfilm by Disney, they even made the announcement during that, I believe, announcement of Star Wars that they were also picking up Indiana Jones and had plans for a movie. And we've had 3 Star Wars movies, if not what, 4, maybe, 4 movies since then, or 5 movies with Rogue One and Solo, and still no sign of Indiana Jones 5. I thought I read an article briefly, and it was just the headline, guys, just to give you a heads up. It was just a headline, but I think they said that one of the reasons for the delay of Indiana Jones 5 is that they were waiting on improvements to de-aging, to the de-aging technology, or they were using de-aging technology, and maybe that's what was taking up more of their time. I don't know, but that's what that's just a headline that I wind up reading. But I haven't heard anything in regards to movement or further development about Indiana Jones 5. Have you, Stuart?
No,
nothing.
I haven't even heard the de-aging thing. That's actually kind of interesting. Although, to my opinion, just kind of a waste of money. Just get, you know, a younger actor to play him if they're doing the flashback thing, like they did in Temple of Doom. I don't know. It's weird to me because the Indiana Jones franchise doesn't need to be like a full-on coherent story. They're supposed to be episodic. Each movie's supposed to be self-contained. So, you know, having a movie that, you know, just happens to take place after the fourth one, you know, with some flashbacks here and there, you don't need to de-age him to, you know, have you know, some sort of like coherent continuity. Just have a younger actor play him, and I don't think audiences will mind at all.
Yeah, so just to, again, it was just a headline, so I did just do a quick Google search. This is from Screen Rant. It does say Indiana Jones 5 theory. It's a theory, just a theory.
Okay.
So I'm glad I decided to go ahead and find this article again, because it says Indiana Jones 5 theory: the movie's delays are because of de-aging technology. So it is just a theory. So just to clarify that in regards to it, I didn't see the theory part until I just pulled up the article again, because I did say I briefly looked over a headline and I thought I saw something, but yeah, just to clarify, that's what it said.
Okay, this is actually really funny. It's technically two questions, but I'll bring up the first part of it. It was Bacon Sushi asking, would you guys like a Hyperforce animated series with the Phantom Ranger as part of the team? Maybe we finally see who's underneath the helmet. I'll answer this one first by saying that, yeah, I think Hyperforce would actually work really well as an anime. I think it would work better animated than it would live action, personally.
I think so too. I would love to see a Hyperforce animated series. I almost think Hyperforce would be great for maybe what Hasbro wants to do in regards to telling an overarching story. I mean, if they wanted to create another team for an animated series, I think Hyperforce would be a great choice. Just because season 1 alone had so many connections to previous legacy seasons of Power Rangers, that I think it would be a really great way for Hasbro to still keep that connective tissue. Like, even though they are creating and reimagining this sort of universe, I think the idea of a Hyperforce animated series would be great, just to kind of bridge that gap between the reimagining stuff that we have and the classic Power Ranger stuff. So Hyperforce would be one of my choices for an animated series, and I've mentioned this several times, the idea of an anthology animated series where we get to see stories of several different Power Ranger teams being told over time. So I would love to see that. What was there was a second part you said?
Yeah.
Oh, the Phantom Ranger?
Yeah, this I thought was really funny. What if we got a Mandalorian type series but with the Phantom Ranger? And I'm like, like, you know, when I first read the question to myself, I'm like, that's dumb. But then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no, wait, that would actually work really well.
Well, I love the fact too that it's like the idea of finally seeing who's under the helmet, and then like the Mandalorian never takes off his helmet, so you never know who's underneath it. So yeah, I could easily see the Phantom Ranger in that position as a Mandalorian type series. That would be pretty neat, actually.
All right. Oh, actually, one more thing I'll say about the Hyperforce thing, that I kind of wish someone who's actually like talented would do this, because I've always thought it'd be fun to like take clips from Hyperforce. I haven't seen it all the way through, so I don't know if it would work really well, but kind of do what they do with Game Grumps, where they take like highlights from it, but then they animate it out, so it's like has a cute little animated segment. I think that could work really well with Hyperforce.
With Hyperforce?
I'm not sure, because I haven't like watched more than one episode of it, if I'm being honest.
That's pretty funny. No, I haven't. I don't believe I've seen it either. Let's see. Bacon and Sushi says, didn't Ryan Reynolds just have a Green Lantern movie which sucked? We need Diggle as Green Lantern in the CW, please. Yeah, if anybody's gonna fill that Supergirl seat at the table, Diggle as Green Lantern, please, would be great.
Yeah.
But the only person that I honestly have heard the Ryan Reynolds stuff from was Grace Randolph on Twitter. I don't really hear too much stuff. I really don't listen to her or follow her stuff too much, except for whatever I might run across on Twitter. And I thought that's where the Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern stuff was coming out of, was the Grace Randolph camp. Rudolph camp, or Rudolph, I can't remember. But I could be wrong though. I could be wrong.
Like from what I hear, she has good information every now and then. I just I do not enjoy her content at all. Like,
oh, like I just like,
she's like kind of said a few things where I'll be honest and say that maybe I took that the wrong way, but like I'm not the only one who's pointed these out, and that's why
she pulled a Brie Larson on you, and you're like,
Brie Larson. I guess Brie Larson.
I don't think Brie Larson's as bad like that. Yeah, I don't think she's in that same category.
Yeah, no, it's more of like she's definitely said some questionable things where I'm like, did you mean what you said here? Because if so, that doesn't suit well for you.
I don't know. It says, yes, Wally should take over for a season or a spin-off series. I thought that's what they were going to do when Wally went to the Speed Force. I thought we were going to get like at least half a series of Wally West showcasing what he can do as like the person to hold the series for a while. You know, I thought it would have been a really great test to see the idea of another Flash representing the season, at least for half of season, and then maybe have Barry come back at like the mid-season finale or something. But they didn't even do that. Barry was literally gone for like half an episode, and they're like, hey, I'm back. It's like, oh, okay, guess not. Let's see here. I got a bacon and sushi. Do you guys think the Green Arrow spinoff will still happen? I noticed Katie Cassidy hair is still short since ending of Arrow, but maybe she likes it short. I think the short actually looks better on Katie Cassidy, to be honest with you. So I think she's probably rocking with it. Do you think we're ever going to get that Green Arrow spinoff, or do you think the time has passed? I think that ship has sailed. Mostly because, like, I know now the main actress is doing something else. So she's moved on at this point. So if she's moved on, more than likely it's not happening. Or if it does, they have to have a new character or a new actress playing her. Yeah, you know, as a starving actress, man, you gotta get roles, you know, and I guess you can't be sitting on the idea of whether or not this is gonna be greenlit for you. You got to go out and get more material and get more roles for yourself. So that sucks, man. I was honestly really looking forward to it. I really wanted to see those ladies kind of take over, but hey, you know, when Stephen Amell leaves, it's a big chunk leaving, man. Yeah. If we ever get all three Spider-Man to come together, Toby, Tom, and Andrew, what villain would you want to be the main threat? Would you like it if we got different versions of Harry and MJ or Gwen? You know, I was gonna say Green Goblin would be a great villain. Yeah, I would still say Green Goblin, or I would even say Kraven. You say, imagine Kraven hunting down 3 Spider-Men. It'd be like Christmas for Kraven the Hunter to have to hunt all of them down. Just to showcase like just how deadly this guy is. Can you imagine him trying to take on 3 Spider-Men by himself? That would be incredible if he manages to take him down. But yeah, I would say Green Goblin or Kraven for me personally. Who would you like to see be their main threat though? You know, it's funny. I've actually never read the Spider-Verse comic books, but I would assume whoever they have as the main villain for that is a suitable threat. So probably him, but probably scale him down a little bit for this specifically, just because if it's only 3 Spider-Man as opposed to a whole army of them. Yeah, I thought he was like another vampire or something like that. I thought there was some connections to like Silk, also the character, in regards to that from the Spider-Verse comic books that I remember them having. So I think it was the idea of like vampires that were stealing the life force of like spider people, and it was giving them longer lives to live and more power, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't remember if there's any connection to Morbius or not in regards to that, but I believe that they were like vampires, but maybe I could be wrong though. Okay. And then, ooh, here we go. Oh wait, no, that's not the one I meant to click. This one, yeah. What's new with The Matrix 4? What do you guys see? What that's different? Could it be Keanu's last ride as his character? Don't remember his name in the movie. What's new with Matrix 4? I'm trying to remember anything that I read. I know it's filming right now.
They moved the release date, the opposite of what's happening to most movies. They actually moved the release date back a little more, so it'll come sooner rather than later now.
Nice. So I'm assuming production seems to be going pretty smooth. Could it be Keanu's last ride as his character? I gotta think so. I mean, I don't see why Keanu Reeves would come back after that. I mean, the guy is getting older. I didn't even think he would come back for a Matrix 4. So the fact that he is coming back to reprise his role, this feels very much like a send off to the character. Like, I can't imagine him wanting to come back. I mean, maybe if they have additional Matrix 5 and 6, like if it's another trilogy, yeah. But once this Matrix wraps itself up, I don't see Keanu Reeves coming back to that particular world. Do you?
No, but then again, I also thought that with Matrix 3, so who knows?
I thought Michael Keaton was done with Batman after Batman Returns. What do I know, right?
Exactly.
So,
but I don't know. I do find it really funny, though. I think I brought this up when Indy and I were doing the show. It feels like they're bringing back all the characters that died at the end of Matrix 3, but like they're not bringing back, Lawrence Fishburne, the character that survived at the very end of Matrix 3. So I found that kind of strange, but I guess, yeah, we'll have to see how that movie goes altogether.
Yeah, I can't even really answer the question of what would you guys want to see that like new into this. I really don't even know what they're going to be like. I don't know where do you go after Matrix 3 is my problem. Is like, is a new machine in charge and they rebooted the Matrix somehow? Like, I have no idea what's going on anymore after Matrix 3, so I don't even know where to begin.
I would want to see me getting into a time machine, slapping myself for not signing up to be an extra in that movie because it's literally being filmed right across the bridge.
All right. Maybe you can sneak your way in, man. Maybe you can sneak your way in. We'll see. Bacon, she will end off of this. Do you think Iris will have powers of her own that's permanent, as what we saw at the end of season 6? What do you think, Stuart?
I doubt it. But I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
Yeah, probably me either. But yeah, guys, I think other than that, I think that'll probably do it for us. I know Shadow Nova says, I'm thinking Ned Leeds as Hobgoblin is being set up to be a main villain. That would be cool. I've always wanted to see a Hobgoblin actually brought to the big screen. So yeah, we've seen Green Goblin, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Hobgoblin either. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here today, Stuart. So everybody, thank you very much for all your questions and joining us for all of our topics today. We always appreciate it for sure. But guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And of course, we'll certainly be back for you guys next Sunday. Actually, you know what? Next Sunday is the 1st of October. Holy cow. So this Saturday is it's going to be Halloween this upcoming weekend. That's crazy. But don't worry, that we will be back then next Sunday. I just wanted to double check, make sure it wasn't a holiday. But yes, next Sunday we will be back 11 a.m. Central Time here on our YouTube page. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, do us a big favor, man. Hit that subscribe button. Not only that subscribe button, but that bell notification too, so that when we do go live, you guys will certainly be notified. Stuart, if people want to go ahead and reach out to you on social media, sir, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me at TurboStew01, and you guys can also check out my older YouTube channel, Turbo Studios.
Awesome, Stuart. Thank you very much for certainly joining me this week once again, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so right here at A+ Opinions. Our main hub is, in fact, going to be our Facebook page, so check us out there. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch for you gamers as well. So other than that, that'll wrap it up for us, guys, and we'll certainly see you next weekend. But in the meantime, do us a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and of course, keep it A+. We'll talk to you later. Bye.